I've got a lot of friends that have been reaching out to me asking about tariffs. What are they? Why are they being implemented? How do they work? And what do I think is going to happen in the future? And so rather than answer all those text messages, phone calls, emails, and conversations, I thought I would just sit down and talk to you and explain exactly what I'm thinking. First, when you think of tariffs, we have to go way back in history. We have to understand for the last 50 years, there's been a divergence of experience for people in the United States. On one hand, the United States is rocking. Our economy is strong. People have gotten wealthy. There's incredible social and economic mobility for a certain portion of the population. Those people, they own investment assets. And as we've increased our national debt, we've devalued our dollar, and we continue to push those asset prices higher, the people holding the investment assets, they get wealthier. But the people who are the investment asset holders, they are completely oblivious. And frankly, they don't even know that there's another portion of the population. Let's call them the working class. That working class used to be a very small portion of the population, but it has grown over time. This group, approximately 50% of Americans, they have no investable assets whatsoever. They hold 100% of their wealth in dollars. And so as we have increased the national debt and devalued the dollar, these people have actually been hurt. I heard a great quote from Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary, recently. He said that in the summer of 2024, there was a record amount of Americans that took vacations in Europe. At the same time, there's a record number of Americans who are using the food bank during the summer of 2024. That's a perfect illustration of the difference in experience between the wealthy and those who don't have investments. Now, of course, there's some people in the middle, but those two stories are really the story of America right now. And so we have a candidate in President Trump who got elected to the White House on a very populist movement. A big part of what he said he was going to do was that he was going to slash spending, he was going to levy tariffs and level the playing field, and that he was going to try to put working class economic policies into place. Now, of course, those things all sound great, but they're really, really, really high change when you go and you actually implement them. And so that's what we're watching right now. Now, let's talk about exactly what the working class is ultimately upset about. The first thing is that dollar's been devalued. And you don't have to go back over 50 years. In the last 5 years, the US dollar has lost 26% of its purchasing power. It's really hard to live your life if 100% of your net worth is sitting in cash and then it's losing 26% every half decade. On top of that, we have seen manufacturing, industrial jobs completely shipped overseas. We have seen a hollowing out of that middle class. Right now, 2 out of every 3 children in the United States, they think that their financial future is bleaker than their parents. It's the first time in history that more people think their future is bleaker than their parents. And so naturally, these people, they've lost hope. They don't have access to jobs. They don't make enough money. They're watching the expenses around them explode. Housing is unaffordable. Food is going up. Gas prices were skyrocketing. Everything in their life was getting harder, and they felt like they were falling further and further and further behind. And so naturally, they used to sit there and say, we have no hope. But then a candidate showed up, as has happened in countries around the world throughout history. When the working class is upset, eventually somebody leans into the populism and they say, I will listen to you. I will put policies in place to help you. And so naturally, Donald Trump, what he's doing, whether you agree with him or not, whether you think he's smart or you think he's an idiot, this is objectively what he's doing. He is sitting there and he's saying, we have trade deficits with other countries. They are getting a better deal from us than we are getting from them. And so he is attacking that and trying to reset global trade. The way that he's doing it, again, whether you agree with it or you don't, the way he's doing it, though, is he is levying tariffs. Those tariffs essentially say, if you want to bring goods into the United States, then you have to pay a certain amount of money. Now, usually it is levied as a percentage. And so what they have done is they said blanket on all imports in the United States, 10%. If you make something outside the US and you want to bring it to the US, you pay 10%. Some countries, they've gone even further. There's rates as high as 34% for countries like China. And so the reason why this is important is by setting that up, what you essentially are doing is you are adding a protection for the American economy. Now, this isn't a new idea. America was literally founded on this idea. If you go back to when we set ourselves up as a country, the founding fathers put in place a 5% blanket tariff on all imports into the United States. Now, the reason they needed to do that was twofold. One, they needed to actually generate revenue for the US government so that they could fund all of their different activities and provide services. We were a new country. We didn't have taxes. There was no such thing as federal income tax back then. And so tariffs were the way that we funded the US government. On top of that, though, the other thing was that the European countries, they had really high industrial capabilities. The US, we were in our infancy. And so by putting these tariffs in place, the idea was that you could create protection for those infant industries. Those infant industries could then have time and space to go build themselves out. Those tariffs ended up laying the foundation for what eventually became the Industrial Revolution. The United States went through a massive boom. We were able to mature. We were able to build out so much of what made this country what it has become. Now, of course, over time, the tariffs started to get reduced and we added in the income tax. And so if you look at the chart, what you can literally see is tariffs come down and income taxes go up. Income taxes started with like 1%, and eventually now we have people in this country who pay more than 50% total tax rates. And so what we did is we swapped from taxing foreign countries and foreign companies and using that money to benefit Americans to today we actually tax Americans, both companies and citizens. And then frankly, a lot of that money gets shipped overseas to help other people. And so that swap is a huge component of what we're watching play out here. Now, again, we go back to the working class. They feel like they're left behind. They feel like they have no hope. They feel like they have the deck stacked against them. And so you have Trump who shows up and what he says is, I'm going to put these tariffs in place. And I'm really going to do it for three different reasons. The first is he wants to generate revenue for the US government. A huge part of what Trump wants to do is he wants to be able to cut government spending. He needs to replace that spending or that capital with revenue coming from somewhere else, so through the tariffs. And then he ultimately promises, we'll see if he does it, he promises that he's going to give a massive tax cut to people who earn $150,000 or less per year. And so the whole idea here is, can you shift our economy from spending tons of money in the public sector and move that activity to the private sector? If you look at job growth in the country over the last couple of years, a very large portion of all jobs that were created were actually hiring of government employees. It wasn't private sector growth, it was public sector employees. And so what this administration wants to do, again, they're aspiring to do it, is they want to shift from public markets all the way to the private sector. Now, those tariffs will generate revenue. And so the idea here is if you generate revenue, then you can start to lower the tax rate of certain people. Sounds like a good idea. Let's see if they can do it. The second thing that they want to do is that they actually want to gain negotiating leverage over foreign countries so that we can get foreign countries to lower the tariff rates that they place against the United States. Now, a lot of people don't know this, but foreign countries actually tariff us at very high rates compared to what we tariff them. In almost every case, foreign countries have higher tariffs on us than we have on them. Now, a huge argument against tariffs is that we should have free trade. Free trade is the idea that these foreign countries should be able to trade with us without any friction, and we should be able to trade with them. It's a cute idea. I like the idea of free trade. I wish that we had it. But America now faces a situation where we are realizing free trade does not exist. Even if we have no tariffs or no trade barriers against other countries, if they have those trade barriers against us, then that means that we don't have free trade. They quite literally are creating friction for our producers to send our goods and services to them, where we are letting them have unfettered access to our country. And so naturally, what Trump is trying to do is gain some sort of leverage so that he can go to these countries and say, you must change. You must take down your tariffs. You must take down your trade barriers. We've seen Trump. He said things like, if they do it to us, we're going to do it to them. And we've even seen him say things like, hey, why is it that they're all doing it if these are so bad? Now, again, whether you agree with them or you don't, objectively, this is his thought process. This is what he's trying to accomplish. And then again, the third thing that Trump is trying to accomplish with these tariffs is that he wants to reshore manufacturing and create American jobs. Now, the reshoring of manufacturing really became a big talking point for both Democrats and Republicans during 2020, because during the pandemic, what we realized is we chased efficiency and low-cost labor all around the world for the last couple of decades. Sounded great. We get cheap products coming into our country. But the problem is that we gave up resilience. All of a sudden, we needed PPE. We needed medicine. We needed all sorts of different goods and services. But we couldn't actually do that here in the United States. We were relying on foreign nations. And so when the world shut down, that became a problem. Now, I don't expect another pandemic to occur in that size and scope. But there are many other reasons why this becomes a really big national security issue. Imagine if we get locked into some sort of war. Imagine if there are natural disasters. Imagine if there are other economic issues that come up that prevent us from actually being able to get those goods from foreign countries into the United States. That's a big problem. And so this idea of reshoring manufacturing is a national security issue, but also we want to create American jobs. And so any country that doesn't make goods, it's a big problem. I recently saw my friend Naval Ravikant. He had this great tweet where he said, the countries that do not make drones are going to have a big problem moving forward. Now, why is that important? If all of a sudden warfare is going to go from soldiers with guns going out onto the battlefield and shooting at each other into a drone-based warfare system, which looks like where we're headed, we can't rely on Chinese drones or other foreign adversaries to provide us with the different technology that we're going to use on the battlefield. That doesn't make any sense. And so there's example after example after example of this. And so this is not unique to the United States. There are books written about various countries all over the world. One book that I would suggest you read is a book called Twilight of the Elites, and it's written actually about France and how France has a very similar problem to the United States. They shipped out manufacturing. They created this kind of two-caste system. They really hurt the working class. The wealthy got wealthier, and it has led to a rise in populism. And so this is something that really comes from globalization more so than the United States or any one country. Now, let's go back to the tariffs for a second. As we went and we actually placed these tariffs on these countries, one of the things that we've seen is that there was an experiment run in 2018. And I think that experiment's really, really important. We had two things happen in 2018 that I think are worth mentioning.
Are you looking for a simple way to earn Bitcoin rewards every single day? At Simple Mining, we help people mine Bitcoin, even if you're brand new. We're a vertically integrated Bitcoin mining company based in Cedar Falls, Iowa, offering a premium white glove hosting service that helps you maximize your mining profitability. With over 500 clients worldwide, we manage over 15,000 machines across our sites. Our facilities are staffed 7 days a week, and we fix most on-site issues in under 48 hours. In fact, we can repair more than 2,000 hash boards each month in our dedicated repair center, ensuring your miners run smoothly. Want to see it firsthand? Tour our mining sites, either in person or online, anytime. Plus, for your first year of mining, we cover all repairs, no questions asked. We bill you for the exact time your miners are running, and you can pause whenever you want. Need to buy or sell? Our exclusive miner marketplace gives you the freedom to trade on your schedule. You'll even have a custom dashboard to track your miner stats in real time, and if you're thinking about running your operation like a business, our tax team can guide you through the depreciation advantages. Ready to grow your Bitcoin stack? Visit simplemining.io.
Today's episode is brought to you by Xapo Bank, where eligible members can unlock the power of Bitcoin without selling it. Need cash fast? With Xapo Bank's Bitcoin-backed loans, you can access 40% of your Bitcoin's value, borrowing as much as $1 million for a full year with low interest rates, zero fees, and no early repayment fees either. Now here's the best part. You keep your Bitcoin, meaning you get to watch your holdings grow as the price of Bitcoin increases. Whether you're looking to buy a house, fund your child's education, or seize an exciting investment opportunity, these loans give you the flexibility to access cash without selling your Bitcoin. Unlike traditional loans, Xapo Bank's Bitcoin-backed loans have no minimum repayments, no early repayment penalties, and the flexibility to settle your loan in USD or Bitcoin whenever it suits you. It's liquidity entirely on your terms. Xapo understands the unique needs of Bitcoin holders. That's why they have developed a product designed specifically for you. With over a decade of experience in the Bitcoin space, Xapo Bank has been a trusted partner for those looking to make the most of their Bitcoin while keeping it safe. Your Bitcoin stays safe in your vault, untouched, never lent out, and secured in a global network of military-grade bunkers with cutting-edge security technology. Head to xapobank.com/pomp to learn more. That's xapobank.com/pomp. Go check them out at xapobank.com/pomp today. We had two things happen in 2018 that I think are worth mentioning. The first is that Trump's administration 1.0, they put tariffs on washing machines, solar panels, and steel. When they did that, we saw in the first couple of months the prices of those goods rise for about 3 to 5 months. But then after we peaked 3 to 5 months later, those prices fell very aggressively for the next, call it 12 months or so. And so every single product that we put a tariff on, within 18 months, that product was cheaper than the pre-tariff level. That goes against the idea that tariffs are inflationary. Now, on top of being able to raise revenue through those tariffs and also incentivize American manufacturing, what we were able to do is that Trump was able to drop the federal tax rate from 39.6% down to 37%. And so that's the idea here is, can you raise